All right. Greetings. Welcome to the Weekly Awakening. And sorry for the delay. Just still figuring out things with Facebook. But welcome. And today we're going to be going further with dreams, and we're going to be talking specifically about numbers in dreams, kind of continuing with that and where we were with numbers. So first off, before we get into that, let's talk about just a recap of what dreams are. Dreams are messages to us from our inner self. It's a reflection of how we're using our mind. And so as we think these thoughts that are occurring, when we go to sleep at night, our dreams will reflect those thoughts back to us. And that's why it's a great tool for self-awareness and understanding and knowing yourself. And so you can, because as you think, so you become. We all create our own reality. So the more you can understand how you're consciously or unconsciously creating that, then the more you can understand and be in control of how to change that in ways that you want it to be changed, to better become the person you want to become, better live the life that you want to live. So with that, 3 things just to remember with dreams is that every dream is about you, the dreamer. It's not talking about, your cousin Bill that was in the dream. It's not about Bill. It's about you. If you dream of a fire in a dream, it doesn't mean that, watch out for, somebody new coming into your life and messing things up. It's all about you and how you're using your mind. And so a second thing is every person, place, or thing in a dream is a part of the dreamer. So it's all aspects and parts of yourself. And so, that's why we're going through all of these symbols to help you to understand, to where you can then, wake up from a dream and look at each of the symbols and be able to come to a conclusion as to what the message that dream is telling you. So you can implement that message into your day, And so the third thing is that only you can interpret your dream. I can't interpret your dream. No one else can interpret your dream. Only you know who you are. Only you know what's going on within your life. Only you really know how you can see that symbol. I can tell you what the symbol will represent, but only you can really identify it within yourself. So, like, for instance, I can tell you, that people represent aspects of yourself, different ways of being. But only you can tell, who, your cousin Brandon represents. Only you can determine what he specifically represents. You won't just look at what kind of person you see that person as being, like what way of being do you see in them, and then it'll show you what that way of being within yourself. So I can kind of help you understand the language, but only you can understand the meaning, behind the words. So with that, let's do a quick recap because we're kind of doing a 3-part series on numbers. To check out the first video, if you missed that, it covered the number 0, the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4. And so this one here, today, we will cover the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And so the number 0, so just a quick recap for you, the number 0 represents power. The number 1 will represent individuality. The number 2 will represent duality. The number 3 will represent, in your dreams, creativity. The number 4 will represent stability. And so then that brings us to the first number for today, which is the number 5. And to better understand how the number 5, what it represents, because it represents reasoning, to help us understand that, we would have to understand what's called the root races, which is the evolutionary stage of a soul. Which, so you start out with minerals, who their power is existence. Gases. I'm sorry, not minerals. Gases are the element of existence. That's when an element first begins to exist. Then it evolves into the next root race, which is minerals. Minerals represent substance. And then you have the next root race from gases and minerals, then moves on to plants. And plants have the ability to feel. And then you have the next root race, which is animals. And animals have the ability for mobility, movement. And then you move on to number 5, the 5th root race, which is reasoning man. The difference between animals and humans is that we have the ability to imagine. And so imagination is the 3rd key to reasoning. With reasoning, you have attention, memory, attention, and imagination, the past, present, and future, to be able to experience the present moment in full. And so that's what, the 3 keys to reasoning are, and that will help you to better utilize reasoning is to make sure you're utilizing in each moment your memory to understand where, the different things within the past that are relevant to the present, your attention to be in the present, and the future, or your imagination to imagine and in order to create a new future for yourself. And so, like I said before, that numbers essentially will represent, not necessarily, because you won't necessarily, sometimes you'll see an actual number in a dream, but it's related to something. Is it a number on a clock? Is it a number on a paper? Is it a number on the wall? Is it a number on the door on a house? But sometimes, most of the time, you'll be dealing with numbers like there were 3 bears that came in, there were 5 books on the shelf, there were 2 people that entered the room. And so the numbers have significance. However, it's really just a highlight to the actual symbol itself. So numbers are going to represent, what they really represent is the evolution of thought. As far as the series of numbers is going to represent the evolution of thought. That's why I was kind of explaining the root races, because it was the evolution of a soul or a spirit. And then now you have the evolution of thought and how a thought progresses down into the mind. So now you would get to reasoning, which is, like I said, using the memory, attention, and imagination. And this is needed in order to then create, because we had the number 3 creation, and then which created stability for the self. And now with that stability, we are able to then, since now that we're stable, because I used to suffer from anxiety a lot. And so anxiety is just, scattered attention. And the cause of anxiety is scattered attention. And the way to create and healing for that is to become present within the present moment. And so, you can't really create a whole lot with being scattered because you're all over the place. What you first have to do is create stability within the mind. And so now that we have the number 4, stability, then we're able to utilize the power of the conscious mind, which is reasoning, in order to better identify specific things. So my dog's over here. Glad that I'm home. Hey, buddy. So with that, you have the power of reasoning, which will help you which is the power of the conscious mind, is reasoning. So that will help you to understand what it is that you need to create within your life. With that stability, and you're able to use the reasoning to see where you've come from, where you're at, and where you're going. The memory, attention, and imagination to then identify what it is you're wanting to create. Because first, to create anything, you first have to think of an idea of something to create. So that's what the power of reasoning is there for, is to identify what it is you're wanting to create. And then you have the number 6, which moves on to intuition, which is built off of reasoning. That's why it's 5 is built, or 6 is built off of 5, one more. And so intuition is the power of the subconscious mind. It's pretty much your direct grasp of truth. The whole purpose of this physical life and the conscious mind being used with this physical body is to have experiences, create experiences, and then the conscious mind will then take the understandings and the learning from those life experiences and feed them to the subconscious mind, feed them to your inner self. So to store, so that you have those new understandings of forgiveness, understandings of creation, understandings of joy, understandings of companionship, understandings of compassion. We all go through life with opportunities to learn and understand. Hey, get off. Come on. Off right now, Gatsby. Jumping up on the furniture, he ain't supposed to be on. Yeah, all right, buddy. So, like I was saying, we have with intuition, Yes, so we all are learning these different. We have opportunities to understand these different things, within our life experiences. So you want to identify what it is you have to learn from different life experiences. But with that, when that is done, then you store that within yourself to where you have it permanently accessible to you, so that you can then utilize and pull from those understandings throughout the rest of this lifetime and throughout the next lifetime. And so when you're doing that, you then have all of those understandings built up within you. And so your intuition is essentially your ability to pull to the forefront of your mind, to your conscious mind, to your awakened mind, pull to the forefront the wisdom contained within that storehouse of all those understandings that you've built up throughout this lifetime and all of your previous lifetimes that you have access to. But you have to first be able to be present in order to still the mind, to be able to create space, to receive from the subconscious mind. Because you can only receive if there's space there to receive. And so that's why you have to use the reasoning, the attention, memory, and imagination in order to fully become present in the present moment, in order to still the mind to receive from the wisdom that you have within you, your intuition. And so the duty of the subconscious mind is to manifest the desires of the conscious mind. And so that is why the importance of the reasoning is so important, because that will help you to identify what it is you're needing to create. The universal law of proper perspective. What is it I'm needing to create within myself, so that I can then clearly direct the subconscious mind on what to create. Because it's going to create, whether you're consciously telling it what to create or you're unconsciously telling it through the thoughts that you just naturally think throughout the day. Whether it's something that you say you do want, or it's something that you're saying you don't want, the image is the same. Because like I said, the universal language of the mind, because this is the communication between the conscious mind and subconscious mind, the universal language of the mind is the language of images. So it speaks in images. If I hold an image of, I want to be to work on time, and I hold an image of, I don't want to be late, those are two completely separate images. We might think of it in the same way when we say those words, but one is a positive image of being on time, walking through the doors on time of where I need to go, and another is a negative image of being late. So you might think that you're thinking the same thing, but truly you're thinking two separate images. And so the subconscious mind only knows what to create by the image that you present to it. So if you say, I don't want to be late, then you wonder why you hit every red light. It's because you're unconsciously providing your subconscious mind with a negative image. And so it's very important to utilize that in order to direct, utilize the reasoning in order to direct the subconscious mind on exactly what you want to create. And so the intuition is the power of the subconscious mind, because then you are able to, with reasoning, you only really have the access of the knowledge and information and intelligence that you have built within this lifetime. Now, the reason that intuition is the power of the subconscious mind is because you're then able to place on top of that all of the wisdom that you have built up through many lifetimes of understandings about creation, understandings about the self, yourself, your real self, and understandings about the universe, understandings about the Most High, whatever it may be that you've built these understandings around. And so that is what the number 6 will represent, is that intuition. So if you have, if you get a plate of food and there are 6 apples on that plate, then in a dream, then it will help you to understand that there is knowledge that you're receiving on the understanding of intuition. You're building more of an understanding of what intuition is. If you, walk into a room and there's 6 doors, doors will represent the access within the mind, being able to access different parts of your mind. Then it will either represent, depending on the other context of what's going on in the dream, it'll either represent, how you can intuitively move within different parts of your mind and different states of mind, or how you are building the ability to access that intuition. Depending on what's going on in the dream, it'll tell you those things. Sorry, my dogs. drinking too much water or just enough and needing to release it now. And so with that, that's the number 6, intuition. You know, we have reasoning, number 5, intuition, number 6, which brings us to the number 7, which is visualization. You know, because now that we understand through reasoning what we need to create, and we have also understood through intuition a deeper understanding of what we need to create, not only, you know, what we need to create within our conscious life, but as a soul, what understandings do we need to build upon. You know, like me, I've been really working on building an understanding of prosperity, and understanding of abundance, and an understanding of connectedness. And so that's more of, you know, using the intuition on intuitively, what does my soul need versus, you know, what do I need in this physical life? And so now I'm ready with the understanding of both of those. I'm ready to then pull forth and understand and visualize, because like I said, the duty of the subconscious mind is to fulfill the desires of the conscious mind. And the way that those two minds communicate is through the language of mind, the language of the mind, which is a language of images. And so then I need to understand how to formulate the proper image to provide the subconscious mind in order for it to know what to create in my life. And so this number 7 will represent creative imagery, or visualization, creating images within the mind. And so, like I said, depending on the context of what's occurring within the dream, then you will kind of get a better understanding of how the dream is talking about creative imagery, you know, visualization. You know, are there like 7 bulls running through the streets, tearing everything up? You know, then that might represent that you have a habit. There's like, because animals represent habits, you know, they're very habitual. So habitual ways of thinking. Do you just habitually think in destructive ways? You know, images, destructive images that destroy the self. So like I said, everything in a dream is a part of you, the dreamer. So these animals, these 7 bulls, are running through, terrorizing the town. And so the town is a part of you. It's your state of mind, and the bulls are your habitual ways of thinking that are kind of destroying this state of mind. So, you know, maybe that might look like, you know, not necessarily that you're experiencing things going wrong in your life, but it's 7 bulls. So you are imagining, using the imagination, creating these images within your mind of everything going wrong within your life. You know, everything being destroyed, being run over like a bull in a china shop, you know, everything kind of just falling apart in your life. Are you creating those images and visualizing that? And so that might be an example of how the number 7 might look within a dream, you know. So because it's all about imagination or visualization, but visualization is built on imagination. And so what images are you visualizing? So if I were to have a dream like that, then I would want to pay attention to what images I'm creating throughout the day. And you know, some people aren't very mentally visual people, but all of us know what our thoughts are. And so I would first begin, if I had a dream like that, I would first begin to identify and connect the images with the thoughts that I have. And the best way to do that is like when you're communicating with people, when you're talking to someone and someone's, you know, especially when someone's talking to you, then begin to not only listen to what they're saying, but be conscious of the image that their words are creating. And it's happening, you know, every time you communicate with someone, whether you're aware of it or not, it's happening. So try to become more aware of the image that's being created within your own mind, that the words of another person are influencing you to create. And then at the same time, when you're talking with someone else, become more aware of the image within your mind that you're describing to that person. And so as you do that and practice that, then you'll become better at connecting and identifying the images that are behind your thoughts. And so then as you do that and become better at that, then throughout the day, you'll want to become more conscious and aware of the thoughts that you think and the images that those produce. And whenever an image is something that you're not wanting to create, you know, if you're like the 7 bulls in the street, if you're, you know, visualizing kind of just things falling apart in your life, you know, like maybe the deal at work is falling, you know, you just see it falling through, like, this isn't going to happen. This, I'm going to call this guy to make this sale, and it's not going to happen, or I made plans for this weekend, but, people are just going to cancel, nobody's going to come, one or two people. It's not going to be kind of the event I was hoping. And so those things haven't happened, but you're imagining those, you're visualizing it. So become aware of whenever you have the images of something that you don't want to occur within your life, and then realize that that's just a distraction, because it hasn't happened yet, it hasn't come about. So that's just a distraction. Let me acknowledge it, push it to the side, and then let me create the image of what I do want. And then, so when you do that, then you're visualizing, you're creating the image of what you do want. And the more that you do that, then the more that you'll believe it. Because at first, if you have a strong thought of, nobody's coming to this, like little shindig that I set up, this little party, this little soiree, nobody's coming, then, you have a strong belief there. But how do you create a new belief? A belief is just a thought you continue to think. So the more that you hold this new image in your mind of everyone showing up, everyone having fun, it being nothing but an enjoyable experience for everybody, then the more that you think that, then the more you'll believe it, and the more that you'll manifest that. Because then the subconscious mind, you've been shooting at this, negative image of what you don't want. Then it's like, oh, okay, this is what you want me to create? Okay. And then all of a sudden you start shooting at this other image. It's like, wait, this is what you want? These two kind of contradict. Which one should I manifest? Which one should I make happen? And it's whichever one you feed it the most. So it's like, oh, okay. So this one's a lot heavier. You send it to me a lot more. This is what I should give to you. And so that's kind of how you'll manifest these things, because the universal law of manifestation, it's at work, regardless. No matter what you're thinking, no matter what you're doing, it's at work. It's going to manifest whatever you are creating for yourself. Because also the universal law of divine birthright, we have free will to create the lives of whatever we want, and we also deserve whatever we create. And that goes for, we deserve the best of things that we create, and we also deserve the worst of things of whatever we create, because we have the free will and ability to create those things. So we're worthy of it. We deserve it. And so, be conscious of what you're creating within your life. So that's what number 7 will kind of represent to you, or that's what number 7 will represent to you. But that's kind of an example of how that might play out in a dream, and then what that example might mean, and then how I would approach, if that was what happened in my dream, how I would take that message and approach it within my life to do something about it. Because the subconscious mind isn't giving us these messages within these dreams for no reason. It's things that we need to work on in order to become the people that we desire. It's not giving us messages to just willy-nilly, it's not giving us messages that are irrelevant to our lives. It's in order to progress and grow and to achieve the goals that we have for ourselves. So the number 8 will represent value. So now we have created all of these things and have this progression of thought. And so the number 8 is the number 4 and the number 4, 2 number 4s. Number 4 represents stability. The first full round of number 4 came about through like an outer stability, existence and duality, and then a third thing coming together for creation, and then stability. And then now it's more internal, the reasoning, it's more of the mind, the reasoning, the intuition, the visualization. And then now there's like a inner stability that's been created. And so now you have the 8, the 4 sides, the 2 squares, essentially. That's what number 8 is 2 squares on top of each other, 8. And so now you have these 2 levels of stability. The duality is back again. So you have this inner stability and this outer stability. And when you have that, it provides a lot of value, because there is value in what you're able to now create. And now that you are utilizing the visualization, then you're able to create experiences for yourself to begin to then, like I said before, understand and create learning from those life experiences, and then place those within yourself. And now you're adding onto yourself. And so you're increasing your value and your worth, so that's what the number 8 will represent. So if you, see something in the dream and the number 8 is significant, like if you, go up and there's a wall with the number 8 spray painted on it. You know, a wall is going to represent limitation. And so if the number 8 is painted on the wall, then there's like a limitation of value. So you need to increase your own self-value, your own self-worth. That's what that dream is going to represent to you, like this limitation that you've created for yourself in regards to your own value. And so, what I would do with that is just, it's funny because one thing I've been doing is I've been telling myself an affirmation every day. So I've been saying it varying degrees. Like today, I maybe said it like 800, 900 times, but, over the last 2 weeks, anywhere from like 200 to 1,000 times a day. I deserve everything I desire. I deserve everything I desire. I deserve everything I desire. As I continue to increase my value, because I'm at a new plateau, a new threshold of understanding value. And so increasing that understanding. So that's one thing that I've been doing in order to break down that limitation. So that's one thing you may do if you had a dream like that. So that's what I would suggest. So that brings us then to the number 9. And the number 9 symbolizes completion, because like with numbers, if you think about it, there's really only 0 to 9. And if you take any number down to the single digit, it'll fall between 0 and 9, because once you have 9, then you get back to, or 1 through 9, sorry. Because once you get to 9, then you get back to 10. What's next? 10. Well, 10 is just a 1 and a 0. 1 and a 0 is a 1. And then 11 is a 1 and a 1. 1 and a 1 is a 2. And then, 58. A 5 and an 8 is 13. And 13, a 1 and a 3 is 4. So 30 or 58 is really a representation of the number 4. And so 1 through 9 is a complete set of numbers. It is the complete set of numbers, and that's just more along the lines of just like simple mathematics. But that's also because it is a level of completion. Like they say the number 666 is the mark of the beast, but really what that is representing is the downward spiral. So if you do 6, 6, 6, it's just a downward spiral. And so that's why it kind of represents that's why it was given the name, the mark of the beast, because if that is what you are marked with, then you're on a downward spiral. And so a 9 is just an upward spiral, 999, an upward spiral. And so like we were talking before with the number 0, the number 0 isn't, two-dimensional, just showing a circle of a 0. Every time it comes back around whole, it's really just a spiral coming back around. So you're back around to a new point within that position. So a new position, but on a new level. So like I said before, one thing I was doing that mantra of I deserve everything I desire. I've done a lot of work with my own self-value and self-worth and things, but I'm at a new level with that, and each time I come around full circle, it's like, okay, now I'm going to understand this aspect of prosperity and abundance. Okay. And then once I complete that, then I'm at a new level with that. And so that's kind of what the 9 is going to represent, is the completion of that level, and you're ready to begin the new level. And so we'll kind of go into that next week with the numbers of 10, 11, 12, and 13, kind of the master numbers within the universal language of mind, numerology. And so then you'll be able to see how the 10 is really the same as the 1, but it's just on a new level. And we'll kind of get deeper into that. And the 12 is really the 11 is really the 2, the number 2 duality on a whole new level. And then the 12 is the number 3 on a whole new level. And the 13 is the number 4 on a whole nother level. And so we'll kind of get into more of that in part 3. But 9 is going to kind of represent completion. So if, that's a great symbol in a dream, because it's kind of an indicator to you that you have completed or fully manifested some sort of understanding or learning. Usually that's kind of how I look at it. It could be anything. It depends. Like I said, the number is just gonna depend on what that is highlighting. What is that number highlighting? What symbol is that number highlighting? And so like if I have go out fishing with my grandpa in the dream and we catch 9 fish, then fish represents spiritual knowledge, and so there's a level of completion that I've now attained, a certain particular spiritual knowledge that is fully manifested within my consciousness, and so that's what that dream will kind of represent. So that's the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if you have those in your dream, look at what the symbol represents. See how it's highlighting it. It'll just give you a deeper context into what is going on with that symbol, and then look for how that's showing up in your life. And then, like I always say, the most important part of dream interpretation, because it's real fun to experience dreams, especially like flying dreams and things like that. It's very important to write down your dreams. That is vital. It is vital to write down your dreams. It is very important to interpret your dreams. It is key to apply the message within the interpretation into your life, because without that, then the message is irrelevant, and then without the message, then the experience of the dream is just frivolous. So the key within all of this is to apply that into your life, so you can continue to progress and grow. Because if we're not growing, then we're dissipating. So which would you rather be doing, progressing or debilitating? So it's up to you. And so dreams are a way of doing that, of progressing and growing, not just physically and consciously, but spiritually as well. Your spiritual evolution, spiritual soul growth. So that's where I'll leave you with those numbers. If you have more questions, feel free to send me a message or email me, selfawareness3@gmail.com. If you want to know more about your dreams, check out the book, Life is But a Dream. You can find it on Amazon. I think I found it at a couple bookstores, Barnes & Noble, also online. Maybe if enough people get it, they'll put it in bookstores, but that's irrelevant, because you can always also get a lot of information here on these videos. So thank you. I appreciate it. Hope that anything that I've shared with you has added value to your life. That'd be wonderful. Amazing. That's kind of the purpose of why I do any of this. And so, as always, I leave you all in peace.